All right, joining me this hour, civil rights and appellate attorney Mark Begnaud and former criminal defense attorney Kirk Nurmi. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. And Kirk, I'll start with you. You know, Anderson decided to make a statement. He was pretty articulate, I gotta say. The guy sounded like he was thoughtful. He almost seemed on a little bit of a line there that he was trying, maybe would have gotten angry relatively quickly. But in my thinking, if you're gonna speak, you wanna be remorseful, and you want to say sorry to folks. That wasn't his approach. Not sure he helped himself, Kirk.
No, he didn't help himself at all, Michael. There was kind of an arrogance to it, what have you, the way he delivered it. Yeah, he was articulate, but there was an arrogance to it. But I would say this, Michael, at that point in time, given what the judge, you know, the judges, I think, have a predisposition before they even take the bench, and then they're going to listen to everything. And obviously, a day like today is such a hard day for everyone. We hope it leads to healing for the surviving victim. It's hard on everyone in the court, judge included. And I don't think he hurt himself, and that's my point being, you know, he couldn't have said anything, Michael, even if he was apologetic, contrite as can be, that wouldn't have changed the outcome. So he didn't help himself, he didn't hurt himself, and I guess he said his piece, and that'll probably be the last we hear from him.
Yeah, and maybe that works for him at this point. We don't know. Mark, I want to get your thoughts on, I mean, it seemed to me that the Judge Schrader, after a long soliloquy and talking to him about, you know, the different aspects of the case and the hurt that he's caused, he left him a tiny bit of light at the end of the tunnel with possible probation, or parole, excuse me, after 40 years. I think he mentioned that he might be in his 90s at that time or something around there. I don't know. He said that's a possibility. Left him a little light. That did actually surprise me a bit.
It's a surprising thing to point out to somebody who you're sentencing to spend 40 years in prison that, you know, there's an off chance that if you're able to survive prison that long, you may get out to see some daylight in your 90s. So I think I'm with you. It's a light at the end of the tunnel, but not a very bright one.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's turn now to the Guerrero case. Kirk, I'd love to get your opinion on that decision by the jury, essentially finding him guilty most of the charges. I was a little bit surprised that they chose some of the lesser included of trespassing rather than burglary for a couple of the charges, but your thoughts?
Yeah, you know, this verdict overall surprised me, Michael, because to me it seemed like either he was there for nefarious purposes or he wasn't, and it was kind of an all or nothing situation, right? It was, to me, a question of, was he led on? Did he believe he was supposed to be there? She wanted him there, et cetera. Or it wasn't. And I wonder if the defense, in terms of what was brought up with their relationship and her maybe crossing that line, bringing in a client as into her actual real life, if you will. Maybe this became a compromise verdict. I'm not sure. It's hard to understand the rationale behind this kind of verdict because, like I said, it seemed to be an all or nothing proposition, Michael.
Yeah, that's how I saw it as well. And I thought, though, there was the prospect of a compromise verdict. This feels that way. Mark, I'd love to get your thoughts. I mean, my sense is that maybe there were a juror or two who felt like, you know, the issue, of course, was consent. She clearly didn't consent to certain things. They wanted to send a message to him. But there was a lot of manipulation going on, so that when she revoked consent, maybe they were like, you know what? Maybe this young kid had a hard time determining when she really meant what she was saying.
I think you're right, Michael. I think there's two things going on, at least from my perspective, with the compromise verdict. First, the point that you're making, I think, is one that's well taken. I don't know how, you know, when the jury's looking at this, I think that there were some questions about the alleged victim here, some questions about her intent and her role in it. And so I think that, you know, you need jurors to care about the victim and care about the case. And I think there were some questions probably that jurors had about her intentions, what she did, her motives. The second thing, though, I think that was happening here is, you know, when we talk about the difference between a verdict for burglary and a verdict for criminal trespass, the difference between those two things is just what's in this young man's mind. Right? If you break into somebody's house without the intent to commit any nefarious acts, then it's criminal trespass. If you break in with the intent to commit a theft or a felony, then it becomes burglary. You see that the jury came back with 2 counts, but not everything. And so I think that maybe the jurors could have been asking, we can't know exactly what was going on in this young man's mind, exactly when he broke in, what was in his mind. We know he had the intent to commit 2 nefarious acts, but maybe you haven't sold us on all 5.
Yeah, and you know, at the end of the day, Kirk, you know, he's I can't make up my mind if he's really a dangerous kid and he definitely needs help. But I want to get your thoughts on what you think the judge might do. Quickly, I only have a few seconds left. He's facing 15 years.
You know, I definitely think there could be a serious probation term that requires mental health. I think there's going to be a real in-depth evaluation in that regard. If he's in any way dangerous, I do think prison will be appropriate, but we could see a probation term with deferred jail over his head, where if he doesn't comply, he would immediately be sent to prison. So I think that's what we're looking at here, and it's really going to depend on that mental health evaluation, because I think that's a big issue in this case.
Yeah, and that's what happens now. He's got that pre-sentencing report. There'll be a mental health evaluation. The judge will make a decision. That's set for July. We don't have a date yet, but we will keep you folks updated. All right, guys, stand by. When we come back, Brian Koberger's defense team is asking the state for evidence recovered in the Idaho student murders case. Up next, we have new details on what the state says it's already turned over. You're not going to believe it. And when Koberger will be back in court. Then later, a security guard shoots an alleged shoplifter at a Walgreens in San Francisco. Now we're learning the guard won't be charged. And people on social media, well, they're outraged. What do you think? Head to our Court TV social media pages, leave your comment. We're going to read some in our next half hour. Keep it here on Court TV.
And on closing arguments, diving deeper into the case against Corey Richards. The Utah mother is accused of killing her husband and then writing a children's book focused on coping with grief. And bringing you up to speed on the trial surrounding the Cal City toddlers. Which side gave a more compelling closing